We're privileged today to sit with Joe Cannon of Young Living. That's his current role, but if any of you have been living in this valley, you will know him from the days of Geneva Steel, for his work in legislation, both in Utah and in Washington, D.C. I am so privileged to have our chamber chat here with Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce with the formidable Joe Cannon. We're going
to find out
thrilled.
That's not true, by the way.
Well,
the formidable part.
We're thrilled, and in many ways, I sense at the chamber something that you might feel here at Young Living. What a coup to get Joe Cannon to be the leader of this organization, and to really continue on the legacy of Gary, Young, and Mary. And I know you probably knew them well. You probably knew them personally.
You know, I never met Gary, and I met Mary about 9 months ago. I mean, she's a force of nature. Let's just start there. She's a force of nature, and she told me all about Young Living and about Gary's vision, what they did here. We had a couple of more meetings on Friday and Saturday, and she sent me a note on Sunday night saying, could you come by the office tomorrow, Monday? I did, and she offered me a job, and I went to work. I thought, okay, I told her I'm all in. So,
I love those words, all in, and I find that a part of the culture here at Young Living. They're all in with products, their supplements, the essential oils. It seems to me that they take some time in research and true methodical, strategic approach to overall health and wellness. In addition to the quality of the products, what about the culture attracted you to the Young Living experience?
Well, you know, it's a company that's grown dramatically. So it's a $2+ billion company right here in Utah Valley, and it's grown because of the quality of the product. So that might sound like a cliche, but actually it's true. People love our product. What attracted me is that maybe the business systems here didn't grow and mature quite as fast as the company did. So there are some challenges, and from a business perspective, really interesting challenges. So it's the inverse of Geneva. So, you know, like Geneva was a lot of different things, but it was basically the community service project. You know, this is different. This is really, how do you just take a company that's already pretty doggone successful and amplify that into the future. So that was one thing that attracted me. The other thing that attracted me was, though it honestly took a little while for this to develop in me, and that is, this company wouldn't exist without Gary and Mary. Gary was an incredibly charismatic person, a very inventive person. The essential oils industry simply wouldn't exist but for him. There was no industry, there was Gary Young, and now there's the industry. And it can't be overstated that he was the pioneer of this. So taking those two things together, its growth and its foundation, it just seemed like a really interesting opportunity for kind of an old guy. And one of your questions is, what am I going to be doing in 8 to 10 years? And the answer is, I don't know. I didn't know 10 months ago I'd be here. So it's a really interesting opportunity to help an already established, successful institution just to go to the next level.
You talk about those values that you found in the company, and as a part, really as an extension of Gary and Mary, those values are really near and dear to Utah Valley. If you consider those principles that they employed here at their company, even as it was a startup, all the way to the various growth stages of a company, they pretty much mirror the values of Utah Valley, don't they? You mentioned innovation. Share with us a few more values or principles that you see.
Well, you know, what you have here is you have a huge work ethic here in the Valley, which we partake of. So it's a huge work ethic, very innovative. People are innovative. They think outside the box. And they're very entrepreneurial. I don't know what accounts for that, by the way. I don't know where that DNA comes from, but but it's very entrepreneurial here. I mean, there's a reason that so many different interesting companies have developed here in Utah. Everything from an old company like a steel mill to incredibly inventive, IT, information technology companies, and it's the center of MLM land. Lots of direct sales companies started right here in Utah Valley. We are 7th on the list of the top 100 in terms of revenue, and we're just a hair behind Nu Skin, which is 6th. So we have 2 of the top 10 are right here in Utah Valley and started here.
What are some things that we ought to probably be aware of in terms of cautionary counsel from a perspective that you have of seeing this really, it's accelerating, and it's accelerating at an increasing pace?
I'm not sure I have my own personal view on this, and that is that our culture, our heritage, our Western civilization, culture, and heritage is really threatened right now. And we have generations of children, even in Utah, growing up who don't really have a full appreciation for our history and culture, not just as a state, but as a country. I don't know if that's going to impact us in any particular way, but I do kind of worry about education. So we talk in Utah a lot about education. Yeah. Kids aren't learning mathematics. They're not learning reading. I mean, we're like, I don't know the exact numbers, but every once in a while you're reading the Economist magazine lists of how high school students and secondary education students in general are doing. We're being beaten by countries like Bulgaria in mathematics. So something is wrong with how we educate our children here. So I think there's a cultural component that is missing, but because we overemphasize other kinds of things, I think we're lacking in not just culture and history and heritage, but also basic skill set.
That is so well said, Joe. I can actually appreciate that as a father of 5, and then as a brand new grandfather, I'm thinking about
your grandfather.
Wow. Yeah, just brand new.
Pretty young.
But you think about those principles. I mean, we call them at the chamber. We call them principles of prosperity. These are these things that are tried and true. Principles like measure twice, cut once, spend less than you make, chop wood, carry water, pay it forward. A hand up is better than a hand out. Everyone's welcome. Being a role model matters. These are some of our principles. And I think about you, Joe, I can't help but think you've brought those principles to wherever you've been. And it leads me to think that those are the same principles that you're espousing here at Young Living, and that Young Living is doing more than just making products. What are some of the larger reach influence that you feel that Young Living's a part of?
Well, just on the business level, we write hundreds of thousands of checks every month, 98%, to women around the world, many of whom are helping their families a lot. So that's at the business level. But in terms of philanthropy, we have a very active foundation. We're very active in education, women's education in particular.
I think that's an important element in promoting a well-made product and a service. There needs to be a why behind it. And I think that you referred to that earlier as to the culture of Western values or American virtues is that there's intention behind the products that we make, that there's purpose, that there's a higher resonating reason for this.
It sounds like a cliche, but I've actually learned this is really true. Mary doesn't care about money. She is utterly driven by mission. I've heard that before about her, but now I spend a lot of time with her. She really doesn't care about money. And it sounds silly to say that, but especially in this valley where there's a lot of entrepreneurialism that focuses on money, and money's important. Making money is important, but no, she's driven by these products. She would love, her dream would be, and Gary's dream would be, to have oils in every home on this planet. Yeah. And yeah, and that's our mission. That's a big piece of our mission. Yeah.
And I'd be honest, as we took a tour, I could feel Gary's influence here. I could feel his heart, his value, the principles that you spoke about. Still, in many ways, roaming the halls.
Mary will love to hear you say that because she believes that, and we believe it too. As I said, I never met Gary, but I do feel like I know him through Mary, through the people here, through many, many people who worked and labored with him so intimately for long years. But one of our challenges is we cannot forget that root, that root, because our heritage is why we are what we are. So we're never going to be just a product, about our products and about money and about business model. We do incorporate Gary, his farms. My wife was reading a book and said, "Do you know this about Gary? Like, he would go out and build stuff. He would build distilleries. He would, like, with his own hands, he would shape these farms." And we have a concept called seed to seal. We really care about the quality of our products, but it works because of that innovative, creative, inventive, charismatic Gary Young.
After an illustrious career, after so many years of public and private service, what's left undone? What do you have yet to do?
Honestly, I really don't know. I enjoy life. I can't predict. I walked into a meeting several years ago and I walked out as the editor of the Deseret News. Had no conception that was going to happen at that meeting. So a lot of my life, I tell my children, never underestimate the value and the role of serendipity in your life. Yeah. So I kind of count on serendipity. Mostly it's worked out.
Those are wonderful words to end on. I love that phrase, to count on serendipity. It's the savor of life. From all of us at the Chamber, the community, Utah Valley, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your example. Thank you for your entrepreneurialism. Thank you for being a force for good for Utah Valley. And appreciate your minutes today.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.